Donald Trump continues to dominate the GOP primaries, and if he has his way, he'll be the GOP nominee. But Republicans hope that won't be the case. They've forged a war with each other in hopes of stopping Trump, and leading the charge, Mitt Romney. The 2012 Republican nominee and Trump have exchanged jabs after Romney denounced Trump as a candidate, calling him a fraud, a liar, not a true Republican, and not a good businessman. Trump fired back shortly after, dismissing Romney's comments, and added that Romney sought his endorsement during the 2012 campaign. But Romney says he could not in good conscience vote for a person who has been as, quote, degrading and disruptive and unhinged as Donald Trump, and is pleading with the voters to stop voting for Trump and get behind a, quote, real Republican. So even though Trump has the most delegates, can Romney convince the party to stop Trump? And if they did, who would be the eventual nominee? That's our topic this half hour. We want to hear from you on our Fox 26 Facebook page. You can also weigh in on Twitter. Be sure to use the hashtag Fox26for life. Joining us in the newsroom is our panel, led by our senior legal analyst, Chris Tritico, news analyst Mustafa Tamiz, who's often involved with strategy for Democrats, and public policy analyst Jackie Bally, who's often involved with the strategy for Republicans. All right, seeming more and more likely no one is going to reach that magic 1,200 and some delegates. So this is going to go to the convention.
Well, we don't know yet. Ted Cruz is certainly gathering more and more delegates. But if Rubio and Kasich stay in, and there's a poll out today that Kasich is now maybe leading in Michigan. So we don't know yet. But if it goes to the convention, it certainly wouldn't bode well for Donald Trump. The Republicans have waited, in my opinion, too long to make this gambit that they're making now. All of us thought that Donald Trump would come and go in a flash, and it's turned into a sustained burn, unfortunately, for the Republicans. And they've got a problem on their hands, and they now don't know how to handle it. I don't know that Mitt Romney is the guy. Jackie Bally, one of the most brilliant moves I've seen in a long time. I don't agree with much of what Donald Trump has done, but he stayed quiet, let Mitt Romney attack him, and then he pulls out that video of Mitt Romney accepting his endorsement. It was one of the funniest things I've ever seen.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
I loved it. Look, I supported Mitt Romney in 2008, 2012. He's a nice man.
And we do have to acknowledge that you do work for the Ted Cruz campaign.
I am on Ted's team. But where was this Romney when he was running against Obama? And his message is the wrong messenger at the wrong time.
Right.
If he wanted to stop Donald Trump, this message should have been sent a long time ago. But he doesn't understand. He's part of the problem. The voters in Republican and Democrat primaries and caucuses, we are looking at outside of the establishment group. And so the Mitt Romney, who is the king of the establishment group, coming in and telling us we are voting incorrectly, it's the wrong messenger at the wrong time.
I agree with that. How does a rich guy who refused to release his tax returns come in and say a rich guy who won't turn over his tax returns is the wrong guy?
You can only do it if you're Mitt Romney, right?
Right.
Bad political instinct. But I think the best line of this cycle, one of the best lines of this cycle, was Donald Trump yesterday saying Ted Cruz won Maine only because it's near Canada. I thought he does have a sense of humor. But going forward, a lot of these primaries are going to be closed Republican primaries. We'll see how how Donald Trump.
You mean winner take all?
Winner take all, but also closed primaries where it's not open to
anybody coming in,
registered Republican.
Right.
So that's going to be interesting to see how that unfolds, and also to see basically what happens on the East Coast. I mean, Donald Trump's likely to carry New York and Pennsylvania, big states like that. So it gives him his lead's going to grow.
I want you both to weigh in.
He nails a point that I was going to bring up, because in these open primaries and caucuses, you're seeing a surge of 60% higher than 2008 and 2012, but you're seeing a drop-off in the Democratic by 30% in some of these states. So it'll be interesting to see if it's really a phenomenon, the Trump phenomenon, or if people in the Democrat Party are crossing over.
And you've been talking about that for a while.
I want y'all to determine who our candidate's going to be.
All right, I want you to weigh in on something before we have to move on, but I want you to both weigh in on something that Mitt Romney did say, and that's the tone of the debate that Donald Trump has started, and they've all fallen into, which I find completely disgusting for a presidential race. And Donald Trump started it, but they've all fallen into this, and we're talking about anatomy and things that are completely disgusting and should not be involved in a presidential race.
Well, of course, you're going to say I'm biased, but especially in the last debate, Ted did not do that. He was definitely sticking to policy, and Kasich did not do that. Kasich was sticking to policy. Rubio and Trump, they've been going back and forth, and I personally, if I'm going to attack the Democrats for using the race card the last 8 years, I'm definitely going to attack those in my party who are doing things that are non-presidential, unstatesmanlike. And I think some of the comments that those two gentlemen have made are not things that I would want to see or hear coming from my president.
All of them are, in my view, this is not good for the country. It's not good for the office and the institution of president, which is the most important political office in the country, in the world.
Yeah, I mean, the stature of the presidency is important for the, in many ways. But it is interesting that when you see Chris Christie got off the stage because he was attacking Marco Rubio unsuccessfully, it seems now that Marco Rubio is attacking Trump and is likely to exit the stage, because if he can't win Florida, which it looks like right now, he's so far behind that he can't, and Trump's already asking him to drop out, he's likely to be the next sacrificial lamb coming off that stage.
All right, let me go to Sally. She's monitoring our social media.
Okay, the first tweet that we're going to show you is from Matthew Hall. He says, we're watching a GOP civil war unfold in real time, 24-hour news cycle style. Enjoy. And then E.W. Erickson says the Rubio campaign hurt itself by repeatedly talking about a brokered convention strategy instead of a win races strategy. So do you all agree that he should drop out along with Kasich?
Well, I think I disagree with the argument that if you can't win your own state, you have to drop out is a Rubio argument that Cruz started. Because if you can't win Florida, you're not going to be able to win the race, and that is directed straight at Marco Rubio because he's probably not going to win Florida. Let's pull up that delegate map if we can and show where we are, because if you look at it at the delegate count right now, Trump has 378, Cruz has 295, Rubio has 123, and Kasich has 34, and so Cruz could conceivably come in there, but it doesn't look like anybody's may not have enough to carry that whole thing. If that happens on a brokered convention, Trump doesn't get the nomination.
Both Trump and Ted have asked Marco and Kasich to drop out because it is a two-person race, especially when you look at those delegate numbers. And the anti-Trump numbers are larger than the Trump numbers. So the chances, I'm really quite surprised that Trump is asking for. If I were him, I would want all of them to remain. But if Mauro and Kasich jump in, that makes it a lot better looking for Ted.
Look, I think those numbers are misleading in that Donald Trump is likely to get a lot of the Northeast states like New York.
And that's going to give him a big bump.
It's going to give him a big bump.